What is going down, guys? We are live from Levi Stadium. I apologize off the bat for audio quality. Brought my mic, but just not working at the moment, so I'm going through the AirPods. So this will be, we're living and we're learning when it comes to on-site streams. You can see this isn't a generated photo. This is really Levi's Stadium behind me. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about practice. We're going to talk about injuries. We're going to talk about Brandon Aiyuk updates and the ever continuous cycle of Brandon Aiyuk updates, all those good things. Checking in right now. Woo-hoo! Boy, we're going to get into it all right after this, but you already know what to do. Drop your SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Let's talk about it all right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? So as you can see, this will actually be our first stream being credentialed by the San Francisco 49ers to be able to cover practice today. So got to shout out everyone involved who made this possible for me. Of course, shout out to you guys for the support. Shout out to everyone with the San Francisco 49ers and behind the scenes to allow an independent content creator into practice. I think, I have obviously been working towards this goal for ever since I started, which was probably, I think I'm year 7 now. Can't even keep track anymore. So we, been grinding for this opportunity, and to be able to finally be here, be able to walk around the stadium, be in the media workroom, be in the press conferences, be on the field, and be able to be up close and personal just gives you a different feel for practice, gives you a different appreciation for practice. You see more. So I think I'm really excited about that. I will admit, you get into kind of a rhythm for how you cover practice, how I covered practice previously. So this time around, it's kind of, it's my first time doing a lot of these different things. So I'm figuring it out on the fly. So, but overall, great practice today. Awesome situation. With what we got from practice, we got another padded practice today. We got Jacob Cowing back out there, so that was cool to see. But we also have some things to talk about in regards to potential injuries. Obviously, the Brandon Aiyuk situation has been ongoing throughout the entirety of today, so we will touch on that a little bit. I don't think there's really been any substantial I don't think there's been anything substantial since Matt Mayoko dropped last night his article on the NBC Sports Bay Area, where he just went down the list of all these different sourced reports. So we'll talk about that. But I think, we spoke to Kyle Shanahan today. Obviously, a lot of the questions to Kyle were about Brandon Aiyuk and that whole situation. My read on kind of what Kyle was saying is, obviously, when you're dealing with a player who is openly being discussed in a trade with media, and everyone knows it, there's not really a ton of speaking in absolutes. So I didn't expect to get any of that from Kyle. And as a result, I think we just got pretty standard updates on, what was coming from Kyle in that situation. Obviously acknowledged it and everything that's working in this scenario with Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk was at practice today, though, so he was a part of his normal routine, which involves meetings, which involves, we didn't see him on practice, which was probably a good move by the 49ers to just to make sure he didn't go out today, because obviously everyone was looking for him and, open to see him out there. So probably a good call to not bring BA onto the field. So in regards to that situation, it's the same three teams. It's the Browns, it's the Patriots, it's the Steelers. And who's doing what, it just keeps kind of volleying back and forth. So I think the same thing applies is right now with BA. I think it will ultimately be up to him to decide where he's going to land. And I think that includes the San Francisco 49ers as well. Now, obviously, if it's going to be the 49ers, you want the 49ers and Brandon Aiyuk to be able to come to terms on an agreement and be able to move forward. But we'll see. We'll see where that stands, what happens beyond that. So in regards to the Brandon Aiyuk thing, I know we spent a lot of time covering it last night and throughout the day. That was pretty much yesterday was BA watch. So from what I've seen today, other than the updates that Kyle Shanahan gave about him being back in the building and things like that, I don't think there's been anything really crazy. But I think one of the biggest takeaways from today, at least from Kyle Shanahan, was some of the injuries that have been kind of piling up a little bit. So Christian McCaffrey is dealing with a calf strain, and he actually is expected to not participate in the preseason, and he's actually expected to miss multiple weeks of practice. So it is a pretty substantial calf strain to miss that much time. So, I'm speculating, but it does sound like there's a chance that CMC will be able to go at the beginning of the season. That's the hope. So I think we just kind of have to wait and see how that continues to develop. Elijah Mitchell was a surprise non-participant today. I thought actually Elijah Mitchell's came on strong since pads have come on, and I think he's been running well. I think he's been running violent. I think he's been running with purpose. So I've been really liking what I've seen from Elijah Mitchell, but unfortunately, he was off to the side of practice today. So he wasn't dressed. He was just working off to the side. And then Ricky Pearsall dealing with a little bit of a shoulder situation. So we'll see how that continues to develop with Pearsall, because I know obviously if you don't have Brandon Aiyuk out there, you're obviously going to be relying heavily on Ricky Pearsall. And unfortunately for Ricky, he's a little banged up. Obviously started training camp banged up. We'll see if he misses any time. But as it stands right now, it looks like he's dealing with a little bit of a shoulder situation. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I know I've been waiting for Justin. He says, I got to ask, what's Cowing's vibe was now that pads are on? Cowing came in, instantly started making plays. So I know Justin's not surprised to hear that, but Cowing instantly came and started making plays. He scored a touchdown in team period. It was in red zone period. So they're probably 5 to 10 yards out of the red zone. It was to the right side. It was I think it was like a quick out, something along those lines. It was a quick hitter. And Brock hit the back foot, fired it right into Cowing. Cowing kind of caught it, and then he torpedoed upfield for a touchdown. So he would have got a touchdown. And then Cowing had an like a really acrobatic catch today against the left sideline where it looked like another quick out in the flat, and I think it was Dobbs put it on him. And it was tight coverage, so I don't know if it was a PBU or the DB got their hand in between. But all I saw was as he was trying to get his hands on it, the ball pops up. But what I liked about this particular catch was he was falling to the ground. So he was going down and he somehow like reached his arms out and he grabbed the ball before he hits the ground, before he goes out of bounds. You're like, ooh, okay, Cowing. So honestly, Cowing, for it being his first practice today, no one-on-ones from what I saw. Again, I had to, I'll tell you, this is like the most like rookie media thing ever. So again, if you guys are just joining, I was media today. It's my first time being media covering a practice. And so I bring my camera. So I got my rig with me, right? You see my big camera. So I'm out here taking photos, getting video. And so after the fifth period, I think it was fifth or sixth period, they shut off the ability to record. And me just being completely kind of overwhelmed in everything that's happening, big ADHD guy, so I can sometimes get overstimulated in a new environment. So like I'm fine. Like it wasn't like I was, you know, whatever, but it was like I left my monopod on the far side of the field. So I had to walk over there and get my monopod. Then you have to put your cameras back into the media room. Long story short, because of this situation, I missed what I saw Wagner describe as maybe the best play of training camp. When I came back, I saw, Guy Haberman. I was like, did I miss anything? And he's like, yeah, you missed a bomb. Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall for a touchdown. I was like, oh. I went over to Lombardi. I was like, Lombardi. So I heard Brock threw a bomb to Pearsall. He's like, yeah, it was really nice. I was like, dang it. So Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall had like a 45, 50-yard touchdown today. Basically was described as, kind of a big arcing, perfectly thrown ball in stride, Pearsall touchdown. I didn't actually see it. These are the accounts of guys like Guy and Lombardi who were there. So, but it's funny. It's like, it's my welcome to the media story. So, but again, I'm completely just thankful to be in the position to even be in that spot, to be able to get some of the shots I got. So, I wish I could have seen that one. It sounded nice, but nonetheless, what a great day, great time. Met a lot of people that I've either had connections with prior, I've met before, but got to, do the thing on the sidelines, or, getting to meet guys that I haven't met like in person, but we've connected online. So that was really cool. It's cool to just be out there and, kind of be in the mix, doing all that kind of stuff. So today was a fun day. Personally, I think it was a shorter practice. It wasn't crazy intense. I think it's game week, right? So the 49ers are going to be traveling to Tennessee to face the Titans in their first preseason game of the year. So, theoretically, they are probably low key preparing. But the 49ers were pulling out some stuff today. I won't go into too much detail on it, because, I don't want to give away what they were working on necessarily. But it was funny because I was standing next to Lombardi and he pointed it out. He was like, "Oh, check out this formation." And then right after that, you saw Jordan Mason be able to escape into the flat completely wide open. Um, no one was on him. So the scheme confused the defense. You got Jordan Mason open. Brock just put it right on Jordan Mason for a touchdown. Um, so it was a good day, man. It was a good day. You had another Brock Purdy throw today that I thought was dead in the water. I thought that this was going to be a sack. I didn't even think Brock was going to be able to get this ball off. I didn't even think he was going to be able to get the ball off. The pocket was super muddy around him. You know how Brock can adjust his arm slots and his arm angles to be able to throw around defenders who got or like around him. He just dipped his shoulder and he somehow got this ball out of this extremely muddy pocket that I thought was going to be a sack. And ball travels to the edge of the left sideline, but in the end zone. Juwan Jennings goes up high, points it, gets his feet in bounds, touchdown. I'm like, all right, dude, Brock's cooking, guys. Like, I just want to make it abundantly clear again the difference between last year and this year, because I talked about it a lot. People weren't properly contextualizing and evaluating Brock Purdy last season. I think it was even Jordan Elliott. Shout out my guy Jordan Elliott from NBC Sports. He showed me a clip of him asking um, Greasy about Brock this year and like what are the differences. And Greasy was like, dude, it was so difficult last year. Brock was on a pitch count. He was on a pitch count in warmups. He was on a pitch count in team. He was practicing on like a 2 days on, 1 day off kind of uh, rehab schedule. He was like, last year was so difficult for Brock. Like, we were just trying to figure out if he could throw again. And if you guys remember, that was one of the things that I was talking about from last year's training camp was I'm just trying to figure out if Brock could throw the ball. And so last year, Brock was being scrutinized as if he was coming off an MVP caliber season with no injury and was just somehow having a poor camp rather than contextualizing the fact that, hey, oh yeah, Brock is coming back from a UCL surgery within 2.5 months ago. He's still on an intense rehab plan, and that affected his training camp last year. So the training camp that we're seeing this year is phenomenal. He is, yes, is he throwing interceptions? Every once in a while. I think he's, ever since he had that 4 and 3 back to back, the interceptions have gone down immensely. I don't believe he threw he threw an interception today. He threw one interception today. But it was a sack. So again, it was sack, and he's just like, all right, I'm ripping it, and he just threw it, and phenomenal interception by Deommodore Lenoir. Again, dog. Deommodore Lenoir is gunning for an All-Pro season, man. I'm telling you, Deommodore Lenoir looks phenomenal. And it was such a clean interception, bro. The way he laid out for it looked like a wide receiver. I'm like, all right, Lenoir. So Lenoir's cooking. Brock did have an interception today, but it was a sack. He threw it, tried to fit it, and Lenoir just made a better play undercutting the route. So phenomenal play by Lenoir. Again, the timing was messed up. But other than that, Brock's been on point. There was actually one play where it looked like Brock was going to hit Deebo on a deep route down the left sideline, and it would have been right in front of me. And he went to cork, and you could see that like Mooney kept going, and Deebo stopped. And so what Brock had to do, which is actually kind of impressive, was he went to Cork and Deebo had looked like there was a miscommunication on the route, and he had to bring it back and quickly check it down to Jordan Jordan Mason, while the pocket was closing around him. And even though it was a broken play, I was like, that was actually kind of impressive for Brock to see that the route wasn't run and to be instantly come back to a dump off. Like, it was so fast. He went like pump and he was like, oh, dump off. So, and then you saw Deebo come back to the huddle and Brock kind of chopped it up with them, tapped them on the head, and they went to the next play. So that communication kind of told me that it was a miscommunication between the two. But again, even within the miscommunication, Brock was able to get positive yards because he quickly diagnosed it and knew where his dump off was. So I was like, damn, okay. That was actually kind of impressive considering the context that it was a broken play. So, but Deebo's baller, dude. Deebo, like, so I was standing 2 feet from Deebo. Deebo looks like he is shredded, absolutely cut. Like, a lot of people online will make fun of his weight, or at least in the past, a lot of trolls will make fun of his weight. Can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. Deebo is cut, dude. Deebo looks like he's going to go for 1,200 yards this year or more. I think we're seeing a different Deebo mentally. Like, we know how good Deebo is, right? Like, Deebo's a quality player. He's all pro. He's phenomenal. But there's a mentality that I think he's tapped into. I think, some of the murmurs from this offseason probably I think has taken him to a different place in his preparation. So to any of you who are playing fantasy this year, if you can get Deebo Samuel as your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, yes, he might have one of the best. I'm thinking about it because obviously I love to play fantasy football too. But I think it's like you also you think of his value and how he's perceived, and he's probably going to be wide receiver 4 range. You get Deebo Samuel at wide receiver 4, bro, you're winning your league. I'm telling you, insider fantasy advice. Deebo's gonna have a big year. Only thing with Deebo is being able to stay healthy. If Deebo Samuel stays healthy, dude's going off. Dude's going crazy. You can stamp it. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, you see it. You see it just in how he's prepared himself for this. So, regardless of Aiyuk being here or not, Deebo Samuel's going to get a lot of runs. So, Deebo Samuel's stock is up big time. So, what are some of the other things today? Dominic Puni continues to be your starting right guard. Today was a rest day, though. You didn't get Leonard Floyd. You didn't get Nick Bosa. There was a couple other guys. Oh. D Winters. I think it's time. I think it's time to officially start up the D Winters propaganda. This dude looks like Dre Greenlaw reincarnated. I was thinking about it today. I was like, man, who does he remind me of? And it's such an easy comp. I'm like, he reminds me of Dre Greenlaw. Because we know Dre, right? Very violent. He's very fast. He's going to shoot to the ball. He's going to fill gaps. He can cover. He's sideline to sideline, some of the best in the league. So I was like, damn, he kind of reminds me of Dre Greenlaw, and he kind of has that fierceness to him too. There's this one play where he clobbered. I think it was Schrader, just took him out, and it was like a ooh, and then he gets up, he flexes over him. I'm like, and in my head I went Dre Greenlaw, and I was like, okay, that's who he reminds me of. He reminds me of Dre Greenlaw because I've been trying to think of like who does he remind me of? Who am I comparing him to? I'm like, well, it's so easy. It's been right in front of me my this whole time. He's like Dre 2.0. It's like, and you think about how Dre Greenlaw has found success. He's found it with being very, very aggressive, very fast, um, and you're starting to see some of that from D Winters. So it has been DeAndre Campbell, but D Winters is going to get a lot of run. He's going to get a lot of run this year. Dude, I love this defense. I think our defense is going to. I think where our defense has the opportunity to be top five coming up here. If the 49ers could get one more defensive end, if they could get one more stud, either on the interior or on the outside, just one more guy, I think on the defensive line rotation, they're going to be tough, man. They are going to be tough. So this defense is stock up throughout training camp. Been very impressed. Very impressed. And I was someone who wasn't impressed with the defense. And again, I'm not a defensive expert. I'll say that every single time. I'm definitely an offensive guy, former offensive lineman. That's where I feel really comfortable. But I did watch a lot of defensive tape last year, and there was a lot of things, I might not understand the whys, but I could see it was not good. I could see, I can see that it wasn't ideal, and I think everyone could see that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this defense. I think this defense is going to cook some people. So um, early returns have been great. Early returns have been fantastic. King says, if you had to guess where Aiyuk's playing this year, if I had to guess, it's either the 49ers or it's the Steelers. I don't believe Brandon Aiyuk wants to go to the Browns, and I don't believe Brandon Aiyuk wants to go to the Patriots. I'm sure you've seen the reports. You know, what's interesting is I think he has the opportunity to earn some serious cash, right? And so I think this is where we are starting to really learn what Brandon Aiyuk values, because I believe that Brandon Aiyuk has a contract on the table from the Patriots that is insane. Like, insane. And would make him rich beyond his wildest dreams in the forms of guarantees, in the forms of APY. I believe that the Patriots have an offer to Brandon Aiyuk that would make him insanely paid. And the fact that Brandon Aiyuk is not jumping at that tells me what I need to know about BA is that BA wants to win. Not only does BA want to win, he wants to hoop. He wants the ball. He wants the ball. And if you go to the Patriots with Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, the Patriots are bottom feeders right now. So the way that I'm kind of looking at it is, if it was all about money, he would be gone already. So to me, that kind of tells me that I think BA wants his value. I think that's true, but I don't think that's the main thing. I think the main thing is is playing ball. So what does that mean? What does that mean is going to happen? I don't know, because I don't think he wants to go to the Patriots, and I don't think he wants to go to the Cleveland Browns. And that leaves the Steelers. But the problem with the Steelers is I don't think the Steelers are prepared to pay him remotely close to what the Browns or the Patriots will. I don't think the Steelers will trade compensation wise what the Browns or the Patriots will. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's an interesting situation. But if Aiyuk was all about the money and that was it, he would be gone. Plain and simple. So to me, it gives me a glimmer of hope, about that much, that maybe something can happen with the San Francisco 49ers, because if he goes to the Patriots or if he goes to the Browns, say goodbye to anything. Like, you remember what happened to OBJ? OBJ got traded to the Browns at the height of his fame and disappeared. And that's the exact same thing that will happen to BA. He will go to the Browns and he will disappear. And although you're paid well, I don't think BA wants that. BA wants to produce. He wants to compete for championships. So the Browns are competitors. Yeah, they were good last year, but they were good with Joe Flacco. I'm not, and I used to be a huge Deshaun Watson fan. But ever since all that stuff went down, he is an absolute shell of who he was. Unless he changes something this year, I don't have a lot of faith in Deshaun Watson, not even close. And that's coming from someone who I called Deshaun Watson a demigod coming out of Clemson. I thought he was a can't miss prospect. And he turned out to be that until. So I don't think Deshaun is even remotely close to what he was. And yeah, again, I'm speaking from BA's perspective, right? So I wouldn't want to go there. I wouldn't want to go play with that team. The scheme might be similar. You know, Amari Cooper was able to produce in that system, but that offense didn't get going until Joe Flacco entered the mix, and Joe Flacco's not there anymore. And if Deshaun Watson flames out, you don't who's coming in. So I don't know. I don't think the Browns are a suitable option from Aiyuk's perspective. I think the Patriots have to be an overpay, which I already think they're at. And the fact that they're at that place and BA still hesitant to go there speaks volumes to me. And so it really feels like there's one option that BA will say yes to right now, and that is the Steelers. But the Steelers, I don't think are going to give. You know, they could. They definitely could, but it doesn't feel like right now that they're going to. is Kyle Juszczyk fielding punt returns. So today, uh, so today was I pretty much only saw Jacob Cowing and Trent Taylor, and I think there was probably Ricky Pearsall probably didn't participate because he was a little dinged up. But it was Jacob Cowing and Trent Taylor today who was returning punts or fielding punts, I should say. So, and I kind of like those two to to do that. You know, I think with Pearsall, I think you just want to build up a callus. You want to build up um, some. I've talked about it before. It's like it's a general term when I say build up a callus because it's not like a callus that you get from lifting weights, but there's just something about being in, constant contact in football practice that builds up this callus on your whole body, where your body acclimates to being in constant contact. So I just think that's what right now. I think that's just all he needs. He just needs to build up that callus and be able to um, be available. I think that's really Ricky. People make a lot about Ricky getting off press man and all that kind of stuff, and no player is not every player is perfect. There are some perfect players out there. In a certain sense, but it's like everyone's going to have their thing that they struggle with. And overall, Pearsall looks like a quality wide receiver. Looks like he has really strong hands, really crisp routes, good speed, good suddenness, good cuts. The only thing that's really kind of popping out to me as a concern for him is just availability. And we know that in the NFL, the best ability is availability. So that's the only thing with Cowan or not Cowing with Pearsall, but that also applies to Cowing because today was his first practice as well. So Cowing now needs to stay healthy, but Cowing looked solid. He looked really solid today. And I think that's really promising considering the fact that this was Cowing's first training camp practice. I think we're in the fourth block. We're in the third or fourth block of training camp. And this was his first practice today. And he looked sharp. And again, what I love about Cowing is he's 5'8". He does not look 5'8". I don't know. I don't know what it is, dude. I don't get it. My brain doesn't compute. He doesn't look 5'8". He doesn't look 6'3", 6'4", but he doesn't look 5'8" either. Like I don't know. He's built really well for being 5'8". Yeah, I don't get it. My brain is having a hard time computing why he doesn't look 5'8". Because he stands right next to Trent Taylor, and like Trent looks a little smaller, but I'm like he doesn't look. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know. But I think Cowing plays that way too. Cowing plays bigger than his frame suggests. That's why he was drafted in the fourth round at 5'8", is because he plays like that. So, um, yeah, I'm excited for Cowing. I'm excited for what I saw today. Very promising from Cowing. Let's see what other notes did I take down for today. Ooh. What other notes? And we could open it up to some questions too, if you guys want. Trent Taylor had a nice catch today. Oh, we got to see Matt Breida back. Nothing crazy with Matt Breida. Oh, one of the plays, Fred Warner tackled Jordan Mason immediately, and he looked at the entire offense and he flexed at him. I love it, man. I love it. Fred is such a vibe at practice. They talk about him as being like the energy guy. He's a huge energy guy. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it for the most part. But today was cool. Would I want Frazier? I'd be open to it. I don't think it's enough. Like you're not doing Frazier straight up. This is a really good question. I think it's Braden Willis. I think if you're the 49ers, you want to see Braden Willis take that next step. So, and I think he has the potential. I feel like I see it. I feel like you see it as a receiver. You can see it as a blocker. I think Braden Willis has the opportunity to be a pretty quality tight end. And then I think after that, I think it's Salbert. So if the 49ers opt to keep 3 tight ends, if it's up to me, I'm going Kittle, Salbert, Willis, and I'm running Willis with the 2s. And so like today in team period in red zone, they had a 2 tight end set, and it was Kittle and Willis. So I believe that Willis is your tight end 2 right now as it stands. Logan Thomas hasn't done anything in this camp, and he's been hurt. Salbert has outperformed Logan Thomas. So if it's up to me, those are my 3 tight ends. I'm going Kittle, Willis, Salbert, putting Logan Thomas on the practice squad, probably putting Cam Latu on the practice squad if he's available to, and going from there. So, but I've been really impressed with Willis. Not only did Braden Willis play a bit of fullback in college, he's lined up at fullback with the 49ers in training camp. So they have put him at fullback. So that's the thing that makes him unique, is that he can line up in line at the line of scrimmage, can motion him into the fullback position. So that's he's really like an H-back. He can play fullback, he can play tight end. He's got the frame to play inline tight end. He's got the movement abilities to play fullback. He still has, in my opinion, one of the nicer catches of training camp, which was an absolute dot by Brock Purdy. It was one of the early training camp practices where Brock just absolutely floated it over the outstretched hand of a linebacker right over his head. But the window was really small because if you sail it, you have a safety bracketing Willis, and Willis just in stride, extension, beautiful catch. So I'm a Willis fan. I'm a Willis fan. I think Willis is going to be a quality player. Let me see. What other questions? Appreciate it, man. Any news about Trent? No, we haven't really heard anything on Trent. I mean, Adam Schefter talked about it yesterday, and he basically said that there's a good chance that this could go on for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think the real timeline for Trent Williams is week 1. So, yeah. Has the right side of the offensive line improved? I would say yes. I would say that's one of my favorite developments of training camp. Is I think Colton McKivitz looks much improved. I think Dominic Puni has been a consistent element to this offensive line that I was not expecting heading into training camp. I feel like now that Jake Brendel is healthy, and not only is Jake Brendel healthy, but so is Aaron Banks, I feel like the offensive line is moving a little bit better. So, I mean, I'm talking about like one of the things I've been impressed with the most is their protection. They've done a really good job protecting Brock in these practices. So it's not perfect. They haven't won 100% of their reps. You know, it's sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. It's been a very competitive camp between offense and defense, but all things considered, the right side looks improved. With Dominic Puni, I think he's maybe given up one sack that stands out to me throughout training camp. Other than that, there's no other plays that stand out to me on Puni that I'm like, ooh, rookie mistake, or not a great rep. Dude, I can't even pretend to now. Obviously, if you were to give me practice film, I guarantee you I could find a couple things. But just based on how I'm looking at it from a high level perspective, without practice tape, I've been very impressed with Dominic Puni. And there's a reason why Feliciano hasn't taken over the right guard spot. It's because Puni is playing really damn well. Like, honestly, and I don't even know if he would have gotten these opportunities like this if Feliciano and Burford weren't early on in training camp. So it's just crazy how it's all developed, because I don't think he gets that opportunity without those guys being hurt. But because he was given that opportunity, he's literally taken advantage of it. Like, he's not giving that spot to anyone. Now we'll see if Burford comes back anytime soon, and he could absolutely re-enter a competition. But that's what I think it would be. I think now, if when Burford comes back, like, I'm very curious to see how they manage that. Is it going to be a competition? Is it going to go back to Burford and Puni goes to second string? I'm very, very interested in that. But so far, right side of the line has been improved. Says, do you think CMC misses regular season games? I hope not. I really hope not. But I mean, it's the fact that CMC is going to miss multiple weeks of practice with a calf strain isn't ideal when you're about a month out from regular season action. So I would like to believe that Christian McCaffrey will be ready to go week 1, but he will not be practicing for at minimum 2 to 3 weeks. So gonna be interesting. But like I said, Jordan Mason's running well. Elijah looks good when he's out there. Patrick Taylor even looks pretty solid too in spots. So Cody Schrader looks pretty solid. And obviously you're going to see a lot of those guys in training camp or in preseason. I think with Christian McCaffrey being hurt, I think you're going to see a lot of Schrader, a lot of Patrick Taylor, and a lot of Breida. I actually think they're going to try to limit Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell because let's say one of those two guys gets hurt in preseason, you don't want to all of a sudden, you don't want to look at your running back room and be like, oh dang, our top two backs are out or down for an extended period of time. And then all of a sudden you're relying on your third, fourth, and fifth string running backs to get it done. So I think with the running backs, I think they're going to be very smart. That would be my assumption, and I think that's exactly my rationale when they brought in Breida was okay. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play in the preseason, and that was before we knew he was injured. So I think you could now even apply that to like a guy like Jordan Mason potentially or Elijah Mitchell. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. I don't think Brock plays this week. I don't think you play any substantial starters. I wouldn't at all. Well, I mean, think about it. They're not going to run Deebo in preseason. If they do, it's going to be probably only with the starters when they do their dress rehearsal. And then if Pearsall is out, he can't be there. If Aiyuk is out, he can't be there. Jennings isn't going to play a ton of reps. Jacob Cowing is probably your your wide receiver one, um, potentially heading into training camp. Like you're going to probably see a little bit of Chris Conley, but I would say you're going to see a ton of Ronnie Bell. You're going to see a ton of Jacob Cowing. You're going to see a ton of Danny Gray, Trent Taylor, Tay Martin, Tariq Owens. Those guys are going to get so much run this preseason. The 49ers are going to have a really good understanding of who they want to keep on their roster because they are going to have a lot of opportunities for those back end of the roster guys because without Aiyuk, you're not going to play Deebo a ton. Probably not going to play Jawan a ton. Pearsall if he's dealing with an injury. So instantly, it's Ronnie Bell is going to be probably like your wide receiver one in preseason, which is actually a good thing. Like Ronnie Bell today had another phenomenal catch over the middle of the field, rose up, got it. Like Ronnie Bell's having a great camp. So there, I don't think Ronnie Bell is in any danger of losing his roster spot. So I think Ronnie Bell's for sure going to be back, and he looks good. He does. He really does. So I'm excited to see what Bell does in preseason. I think Bell's going to have every opportunity to go out there and solidify his roster spot. So I think it's going to be a big one for guys like Danny Gray. It's going to be big for like Trent Taylor, and to see who can be that last guy in the wide receiver room. And right now, Trent Taylor, I would say Trent Taylor's ahead of Danny Gray. Danny Gray has really quieted down since pads have come on. Trent Taylor has been pretty darn consistent. And not only is he consistent, like Trent Taylor made a really good catch against the sideline today. Trent Taylor's reliable. And on top of that, he can be your primary returner. So Trent Taylor is low key, like, if this season starts without Brandon Aiyuk on the roster, Trent Taylor is making a case. He's making a case. It's still an uphill battle based on a Wow, that was um, so sorry about that. I was like, wow, that took. They're like, cut the Wi-Fi, cut the Wi-Fi. Oh, that's hilarious. That's funny. Well, I'm glad you guys still are here and you stuck with me through the spinning wheel of death. It was just black and it was just like I was like rotating. I was like, oh no. It's like don't kill the stream, please. We're almost done. Don't kill the stream yet. We're almost done. So are there areas where you could see, the 49ers improve in, of course, but I would say the overarching theme of training camp so far is is good. I've been very impressed with some of the plays, um, or the play we've seen, even amidst having a lot of guys out, a lot of starters out, stuff like that. So I feel like we're in a good spot. Safety battle. I mean, it seems like it's Jair Brown and George Odom right now. I think it's Talanoa Hufanga's job the second he gets back. So I think George Odom has actually played well in spots. He's made some nice plays. He's made some nice interceptions. He's done pretty well, but I think it's absolutely Talanoa's Hufanga's job when he comes back. So I think that's a good thing for the 49ers. I also think it's a positive sign that the 49ers haven't gone out and they haven't signed any safeties. I think that also speaks to the confidence in the group that they have. So I think they feel really confident with where Talanoa Hufanga is at. Jair Brown has been balling. Like Jair has really Jair Brown is in for a big season, it feels like. And Malik has definitely quieted down since since the hype kind of no pads. Since pads have come on, he's kind of quieted. He blends in more, but I think they still feel confident in his ability. And then once Talanoa Fonga comes back, we're cooking. That's one of the craziest things about this defense is they're going to get Talanoa Hufanga back. And what if, what if you get Dre Greenlaw mid-year? There's still an opportunity for the 49ers to get a couple starters back that haven't even been on the field for training camp. So this defense has the opportunity to be really good. Like I said, I would say I would be interested in one more defensive end. I'd be interested in one more defensive end. I think Yetur Gross Matos can play inside, so he can definitely fill some depth on the interior defensive line as well. But I would like to see maybe one more edge rusher. I don't know who's out there. I don't know who you could get. Uh, and that's not a knock on Leonard Floyd or anyone else. Robert Beal has the opportunity to be that guy. I think this is a big preseason for Beal. I think if Beal can really shine, because we're not going to see a lot of Leonard Floyd, we're not going to see a lot of Nick Bosa. We're probably going to see a lot of YGM, and we're going to see a lot of Beal. So if Beal can come out and really show out in preseason, I think he can put the 49ers at ease knowing that, okay, Robert Beal can be a situational pass rusher. He can be a guy that we might be able to rely on in spots. Yetur Gross Matos I asked Nick Bosa today about how Yetur Gross-Matos has been fitting into the rotation, and he said that it, Yetur is coming along from a scheme perspective, saying that basically him, Nick Bosa, and Chris Kosurik have kind of been getting on Yetur to kind of get going in the wide nine scheme. And again, we've heard that from multiple defensive linemen. That we heard it from Javon Hargrave when he came over from Philadelphia. He's like, "Yeah, man, there's I don't know. I never played in a wide nine, so I can't speak to what they're talking about when when Bosa says, we're really trying to get him up to speed on the scheme and really get him in tune. But he's like he's coming along, and he's gonna do well for them. So I'm like, okay, well, if Yetor's still trying to like dial in the scheme, then I'm excited to see what he looks like when he does dial in the scheme and is playing, most likely playing faster and all that stuff. Brad, Christian McCaffrey just was interviewed and called Brandon Aiyuk former teammate. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Christian McCaffrey. Like that's one of the tricky things about having such a public situation like this is that it puts everyone around the situation into that situation. Like when Nick Bosa came up to the podium today, the first 5-6 questions were all about Brandon Aiyuk, and it's like I get it. I get it. Today is a big Brandon Aiyuk day, right? With everything that has come out, and it's definitely a top story. But it's like when you are a player and your teammates are going through that, you get asked about it because of this. Like there wants to be some insight from the situation. So it's like, does Nick Bosa really need to answer a bunch of questions about Brandon Aiyuk? Not necessarily, like, but it's the top story. It's his teammate. Everyone, and it's you want to know how these players think about this stuff. You want to know what their thoughts are, and you want to see if they will provide any insight on anything. And so these things can happen. I don't necessarily blame Christian McCaffrey. Totally could have been a slip of the tongue. You could totally see on Christian's face that when he said it, like he was like, "Oh crap!" Like it was like a slip of the tongue. Like it came out, and he was like, I saw, like, you could see him searching to get that back on track, and I feel for the guy, man. It's a tough spot to be in for everyone involved. Like it's a tough spot. Everyone wants to know. Like it's the number one story in the NFL right now. The number one story is Brandon Aiyuk. So everyone's going to be asked about it. Like, oh, what's your read on this situation? Da 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 da. So, um, you know, it's a tough spot to be in right now when your players are going through something like this publicly. So I'm not reading too much into it because I don't think anything is done. But if we're being honest, like every sign that we've seen is indicating that BA is not going to be here. So, do you blame Christian McCaffrey for slipping up? Like I don't know. I don't really. So, but anyways, you guys don't have any more questions, I think that might wrap it up today from Levi's Stadium. The field looks good, though. Field looks good behind me. They're getting it all prepared. They're spending a lot of time on the grass today, making it look nice. So, Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to head out for now. Appreciate everyone who's tapped in. Smash that like button on your way out. Grab your cookies as well. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.